Hi there, welcome to our channel. I'm Vic.
I'm Nick.
And we are NV Board Gaming. And today we're looking at Habitats. This is a game for 1 to 5 players. It is designed by Corne von Morsel and it was published by BoardGameTables.com, which is now known as All Play. Nick is going to go through how you play and then we're going to give our reviews.
Hey everyone, welcome to the table. We are set up here for a 2-player game of Habitats. There's the cover of the box right there. So already set up, this game you're building out an African habitat, a wildlife preserve essentially. So the game is played over 3 years. Each year is set up in a certain amount of turns. So right now we have it set up for a 2-player game. It shows the exact spots where the Jeeps go, and it shows how many turns per year. So the game's played in 3 years, and a 2-player game, 10 turns year 1, and then year 2 and 3, 7 turns each. That is tracked over here by this. You just have this marker, and you go ahead and move it for each turn that is played. So when you and your opponent are done, it'll move to the next turn. That is going to be essentially the end game trigger when all those turns are done. There's intermittent scoring. You can see those. Those are variable. They were picked randomly. Intermittent scoring between each year. So it also says how many points you will get if you are the person that scores the most in any of those categories. You can see there's 2 categories for each year. We'll focus on that when we hit the 10 turns in the first year. You see it's 10 turns. So once we hit that, we're going to go ahead and do our scoring, and we're going to jot that down for goal 1 and goal 2 of said year. Year 1, year 2, year 3. And that's just your player color. And then at the end, we'll figure out all of these scoring. So let's talk about how you play. On your turn, you are simply going to move your Jeep anywhere but backward. So in this case, we can move it forward, we can move it left or right. If I were to go this way, you can see I only have an option of going here next. When you move a Jeep and you put it somewhere, so let's say I went here, I would put this in my habitat, make sure that the Jeep stays in this same direction. Normally I'd face it this way, but it's just easier to show you which way the Jeep is when I place it like that for camera purposes. And I'm going to place this anywhere adjacent to something I already have. So in this case, we start with a tile. This white border always means that you cannot build below that. You'll see other ones that have white borders as well, and that means you cannot build on this side or this side. So let's just say I put it here. Now, this isn't an ideal spot because the whole point of the game is to get victory points, which is established by making sure that this has the right habitat. So this one wants 2 tiles of water and 2 tiles of grass. Well, this counts as this field right here, which that is neither. But I'm still putting it there just to show how it works. And then I replenish, I draw from the bag and replenish the tile I just left. And then my turn's done. You're going to keep doing that the whole game. So very simple. So as far as rules, in order to accomplish this, I would have to have a field, an area that has 2. So this would actually accomplish it, not because this is considered adjacent, but by virtue of this being continuous, I now have 2. It would be the same way if I had that. It would be 1 and 1, but just because of this, it would be 2. Once this breaks up, you no longer have a running water area, so now it's only a 1 spot. I only have 1 of those completed, and I do not have 1 of those green areas, green grass areas, because it is not adjacent. It's broken up. It would be adjacent if I had that. Then I would have the 2 completed. So once I do, let's say this is how it panned out. In this case, and it doesn't matter if it's here or it's here because, again, it's all connected. In this case, I do have this completed. I have 2 and 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, and I could then mark this as complete. And that's going to score me 4 points at minimum. It's going to be 4 points alone for this animal, this crab. You have these, or you have the tokens. If you have the deluxe version, you have the actual wooden components. If you get the retail version, you'll just have these to show that it is complete, and it's going to score you those points. And every time you do that, you're going to go ahead and put that. So if I put that here, I'm going to look for the tarantula, or if I just have the retail version, I'm just going to put that. And I know that's going to score me 2 points because I have completed that. It was very easy for me to complete, but it was only worth 2 points. The flowers over here score you 1 point regardless of the flower. We have other tiles. This one will give you either terrain type. We have some different ones here. We have gates. These are, again, you cannot go beyond them, but if you're adjacent to other tiles or adjacent to them, those squares, that will score you the 3 points. This one gives you bonuses. It'll always say something different. Every water, habitat, and preserve times 1. So every water was going to score you a point if you have that tourist card. Tourist tile, I should say. These are the watchtowers, so it's going to score you for, so this acts as the watchtower, this square here, and it's going to score you for everything at diagonal top right, and it's going to score you these points. If it's an animal, it'll score you 2 for each of those, and it'll score you 1 for each flower. All right, these are camps. As long as they're not adjacent camps, they're going to score you 4 points if you cover those 2 non-adjacent camps. And those are the different tiles of the game. At the end, you're going to score all you're going to have a subtotal for all the goals that you've done throughout the game, and you're going to go ahead and score the animals, all that you have completed. Again, you'll have that easily denoted by virtue of the tokens, and be able to score all of those. If they were not completed, they're not going to score the points. So this duck would score me 0 points, unless I had this here, in which case I actually do have enough. I have 2 water, and I can count that as the field. If I didn't have that, it would score me no points, because I don't have the field. So you're going to score all those. The flowers are all 1 point each. Watchtowers that I already explained, the tourists I explained, the gates I explained, and the camps I explained. You're going to add up all your total, and that'll be your final score of the game. And that is how you play Habitats.
All right. Thank you so much for going through how you play this game.
Sure.
Right off the bat, when I saw it come out of the Board Game Tables bundle that you got, what was that? Was it a Kickstarter, or what was it that you...
Yeah, there was 3 games. We got Basket Boss, 9 Lives, and Habitats. That's what we unboxed earlier on the channel. And right when we got it, what were we going to say?
I saw animals. I got excited. If you know me and you know Sam, we both love animal games. So I was immediately thrilled by that, and also 9 Lives because they had cute pieces too. So.
Yeah. This one this is an older game. I think it came out in 2016 originally. So they are all 3 older games that were I don't know if it was reprinted or just reintroduced. I don't know. It kind of seemed like it slipped under the radar a little bit. So this one was the one of the 3 I was most excited about. We got the deluxe version of all 3. This one has some issues as far as the deluxe, like the usability of it, but I don't know if I would not back the deluxe because of it. It is nice and it is easy to track. I don't know. It's close. It's close. Pros of this game, if you don't, or do you want to jump into? Do you think the deluxe components were worth it?
I do.
Okay.
I do think they were worth it compared to like the other tokens you would have to mark some of the items and
stars. Okay. So Vic says these are worth it. I guess then I'll start out with talking about what the usability issue is. It's finding the exact one, and the color coordination isn't there a lot of them. They're like, oh, that's pink, and we wouldn't have thought that.
Yeah, or this one was red. I thought it would be brown or purple.
Yeah, based on the drawing and the habitat. So finding these can take a while sometimes. Sometimes you find them right away. Often, though, you don't. So the usability isn't awesome. It would be certainly a lot easier just to put a star when you have something completed. That's what you get in the base game. It's like a little token, award-looking token. You just slap it on there. It's complete.
To track the animals.
To track that you have all the terrain, all the right habitat. But they're cool. They're cool. This is what you get in the deluxe if you paid for that with the Kickstarter. I don't know if you can do it outside of the Kickstarter or not. Mixed feelings about whether it's worth it or not. Overall, we'll say it is. So positives, this game is really clean as far as how you're going to play it. You're going to move your Jeep. You just can't move it backward. That's the only rule. You're going to move your Jeep 1 space, and you're going to take the tile, put it in your habitat, and then you're going to replenish what you just where you came from. That area is going to get a tile. That's it. You're going to play a certain number of rounds, 3 rounds. We play a lot of 2-player. We played 4-player as well. So we have the experience with both of those. I think the game scales really well.
Yeah.
There's no issue between 2 and 4. I think 5 might be a bit much,
Hmm.
but 2 to 4, solid. Scales pretty much evenly. I don't have a preference of how I play it, 2 or 4. And the setup is minimal. You put out the terrain tokens randomly, but it's the same. It gives you how you start the game on the actual scoreboard. There's a skinny scoreboard, and it tracks everything. It says how many points are going to score based on the player count. So you flip it for 3 players, and then you have a different one for 4, and flip that for 5. So it is setup friendly. The rules are very streamlined, and there's a lot to like. It's a clean game. There's not going to be too much thinkiness, although there is, some puzzle there as far as getting things to match up how you want them to be. What do you got for positives, Vic?
Yeah, and on top of what you said, I think the replayability is high with the fact that the goals change when you play them out, right? They're not the same goals
Correct.
each time. So it's nice to be able to go for different objectives when you're putting together, making the decisions about which way you're going to go. And then even within the game, there are the camps that you want to try to get, or the watchtowers
Mm-hmm.
where you're trying to get specific types of things. Like, oh, I don't want to take a flower. I'd rather get an animal near this one. And it's just the whole puzzle of trying to get those habitats to fulfill what the animal requires. And maybe you get a great combo, or you can set up a consecutive area of green forest habitats, for instance, or and noticing that some of those tourist tiles score the preserve versus the habitat. So there's a lot there, as opposed to just stacking VP for just making a continuous habitat of the same type, even though that could be an objective in some parts. So I like the puzzle of it all. What everything you said, I agree with the game. Obviously, the theme is a big seller for me. I really like animal themed games, and I like having chunky tokens and how quick the turns are. It does.
Yeah.
It's not too long of a game, and I think it's friendly to color blind people too, because it's animals that you're dealing with. You're not really having to worry too much about the colors, because there's designs of the
Sure.
habitats as well. So it has a good feature in that regard. And altogether, I just really enjoy playing the game. I don't have much bad to say. The quality of the components is high. The cardboard tiles, even though we got the deluxe version, the standard tiles that come with the game still felt good quality, that go inside the bag, and the bag looks nice. I don't know if that's standard or not.
I don't think so. I don't think that's as nice as that. That seems like it was a little upgrade.
Okay.
So we get the negatives then. You said you don't have that many though.
Mm-hmm.
I will start off saying that um, there's sometimes you're pinned in a corner and you only have one choice. I
Yeah.
never like spots where you only have one choice.
Mm-hmm.
And you could say that, yeah, you did that. Well, you kind of are determined to go to a certain spot based on what's there, and then it just happens to be in the corner. It's in a corner. You can't go backward. You can only go left, let's say, or
Yeah.
you can only go right, depending on which corner you're in. And that kind of stinks a little bit that there's no other choice. I kind of wish I had at least two somehow, but it's not a terrible flaw in the game or anything like that. It's just a little bit of I wish it wasn't predetermined that I have to take this, because we can just move on. Sometimes I'll just toss. You have to take that. Probably did like 4 times last time
Yeah.
between us. We have to take that.
No choice. Mm-hmm.
No,
And having nothing to mitigate that with.
not really. Other
Yeah.
than you just don't go there. But that kind of stinks.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you want something, you want something. So. The biggest con for me is tracking the rounds.
I was gonna say that.
Yeah, I've been the one tracking them when we
Yeah.
play. It's hard to remember. It's not a great. It's my biggest flaw for this is just because I have to keep recounting how many I have, because if you forget to move this thing on a dial, you lost track of rounds. There's no other way to count it other than count every tile you have.
Yeah.
And if you're in round 3, well, then you got to count 7, then you got to count 10, then you got to count up to how many you're in, which of the phases of round 3 that you're actually in. So sometimes you're counting over 20 tiles to see where you're at in the game.
Yeah.
If you mess up, if you forget one time and slip and you're thinking of strategy, there you go. You got to count all your stuff.
Yeah. And
did I count again, or did I forget to count? I don't know. Did I count every single time?
I was glad you were in charge of that, because I noticed halfway through, I thought, oh, somebody's got to be tracking the rounds.
Yeah.
And it was you, and I thought, well, I'm glad he's doing that, because I wouldn't have remembered, because the turns are so snappy that there's no time.
You forget too, because the turns are snappy. You forget, did I count this round or not?
Mm-hmm.
Was that the last? Did I count during your turn? Did I move it down? Did I move down during my turn? So there's that. That's the biggest con for me. Another con for me I had was I wish there were like an objective to start the game, not just the ones out there for every round. I kind of wish I had like an end game goal, something I was going for. That's my kind of style, though. It's
Like
not
a
really.
personal objective that
Mhm.
nobody could see. Yeah.
Yep. I would want to be going for something the whole game, not for it to be eliminated after round one. Like, okay, now I don't really care about what I was doing. I want to do something different.
Mm-hmm.
I want something like overall, what am I trying to do in this game? Nothing really. It's going to vary every game, which is fine. Just my style of play is I would like to have some kind of aim that I'm going for when this game's over. And you're not really doing that. What about you?
Yeah, I felt the same way where as the rounds progressed, the goals became you didn't need to do that anymore. You weren't trying to balance that anymore. You moved on to another objective. You didn't have an overall goal for your habitat. Because it's not as if you're going to score for having maybe like the biggest habitat. Everybody's going to end up with like the same amount of tiles. And right?
And you're gonna. I
Yeah,
mean,
animal points, I guess, for completing those.
yeah, and it ramps up slightly because the round one you get 3 points for winning a goal. Round two you get 4. Round three you get 5. It's just the first one's obsolete now. The thing you have been going for is who cares now,
Yeah.
and then when you're done with the second round, the second one who cares? And it's just new thing that you're trying to go for. I guess the overall goal is just to complete your animals.
Yeah.
That's the goal.
And my thing was mainly matching those animals, like Nick talked about. That gets annoying. It sort of just because of how quick the turns are. Really, just to find this animal that I need to put on the deluxe version that we have out. But that could be just us not knowing. And maybe as we play the game, if we played more often, it would be quicker to find that piece. It could be something that if this is only one of your few games you have in your collection, you might be quicker at finding.
Yeah. Oh, the snake's pink.
Yeah.
I remember.
You just know. Yeah.
Yeah. The tarantula's red. Got it.
Yeah, we may need to get a label maker.
Every single put alphabetical.
Yeah. That's what I was thinking actually.
If we played this game a lot,
yeah,
that might be worth it.
Have a little roster down the side, but yeah, not much. I mean, the game is small. It has a nice compact size to it. I don't have the art I enjoy. I like the animal style and the colorful look of the game. So not much complaints for me.
Cool.
Score time.
Yep, score time.
So for me, I gave it an 8.2. I really like the game. I love having these games that are thinky. There's a puzzle to it. It's tile placement. I really enjoy that mechanism. But it's not cutthroat in a nasty way. You're not trying to destroy somebody's habitat. I always like to just have something you're working on, which he could interfere with me by getting maybe the thing I wanted. But there's so many different tiles coming out that you don't feel like, oh, that was the only one I could have had, or so.
Okay.
Yeah.
I had a mixed bag, pros and cons. So I'm going to give it a 7.4. It's somewhere in the 7s. I don't know exactly. I'm in the 7s somewhere. 7.4 for me. It's a solid game. I recommend trying it if you like games like smaller games like Cascadia, things like that.
Mm-hmm.
I think it fits in that same kind of genre where it's just a quick actions. You're doing things and you have those slight decisions you have to make to maximize your points.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for joining us. We hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please click the like, thumbs up, and subscribe to our channel for more great videos. We'll see you next time.
Bye-bye.
Bye.